Errol Spence Jr. says that this might be his retirement fight against Sebastian Fondor. Obviously not an easy opponent to go up against the Towering Inferno. Way bigger fighter than he's ever fought before. The height difference is going to be honestly pretty difficult to navigate for Errol Spence Jr. in my opinion. I know that Errol Spence is a great fighter, and he has all the fundamentals, and he's one of my favorite fighters personally. I think he has a good jab. I thought he had a better jab until I saw the Terrence Crawford fight, but you can't really compare that. That's one of the best fighters of all time. Terrence Crawford's #1 pound for pound right now for me. But for Errol Spence Jr. to be considering retirement, you can't help but think that Terrence Crawford fight must have really taken a toll on him, and rightfully so. You can't take that kind of punishment consistently, and you can't help but think, if it happened to me once, it could happen to me again. So, but you also got to give credit to Errol Spence Jr. for taking a fight against Sebastian Fondor. Obviously, that Tim Tszyu fight happened. I thought Tim Tszyu was having a lot of success. I thought he was going to stop Fondor eventually, but that cut got so bad to the point where it was just like really hindering Tszyu's performance. But now we got Fondor as champ, and people are talking about the fact that he may vacate the belt. We'll see what happens, but Errol Spence Jr. and Fondor is a great fight. But to see Errol Spence kind of talking about retirement, you can't help but think, maybe this is the last time that we may see him, like he said. And what a great career Errol Spence has had. Obviously, it's kind of been tainted by that one Terrence Crawford loss, but I personally never discredit Errol Spence Jr. for everything he's accomplished up until that point. I still think that he deserves a lot of credit for making that Terrence Crawford fight happen, because I remember Terrence was saying, I don't need Spence, this and that. And even though Terrence Crawford won, I still think that Spence was the instrumental piece in making that fight happen. So I really do think that Errol Spence is one of those real legitimate champions where you gotta respect his heart, you gotta respect his fighting style. He's a very resilient fighter, facing a lot of adversity inside and outside of the ring. Inside, dealing with that detached retina. Outside of the ring, dealing with those two, car crashes where he was ejected from his vehicle in one of them. So, taking those things into account, I completely and wholeheartedly support that he may be retiring soon. So, he's put in, so much work, and when you get to the top and you've already fought the best, what else more is there to do for him? There's not really much more that he can do that would change his legacy. I think that Errol Spence has already accomplished so much, even though he's only really been at 47 for his career. Fighting at 54 and then getting out of there, I wouldn't be mad at it, because you're fighting the guy at 54 technically. So I do think Fondor and Spence is going to be an interesting fight. I'm going to be a little bit stressed out, because as a guy who really likes Errol Spence, and not to take anything away from Fondor, honestly, to give credit to him, he's a tough kid, and he's big. That at the end of the day, that's the big thing I'm kind of worried about for Errol Spence, because no matter what, you may have the better fundamentals, you may have more experience, and you might punch a little harder. This is a big guy. Like, there's no doubt this is a big guy. He hits hard as well. He's not coming to lay down. He's going to be more motivated than ever. He's going to want to officially retire you. Even though I do think that Terrence Crawford is the one that really put this thought of retirement in Errol Spence's head, because he could be trolling. Spence could be saying that this is the last time we may see him, but he could just be saying that to get more fans invested in this last in this fight against Fondor. But I still like Errol Spence in this fight. I just think that the height is something that I'm a little like, ooh, that might be a bit of a problem. And when I say a bit of a problem, I say a big problem, because Spence is good. Spence is good. If he could get Fondor to kind of hunch over, Fondor has that tendency to do that. And if Spence can find a home for that big overhand left, I think that's the punch that probably can hurt Fondor bad. But it's all about where Spence is at mentally. Is he still that same fighter, and how will not having Derek James in his corner impact him, if at all, or does he kind of know what to do? Because there are different dynamics in the sport of boxing when it comes to trainer and fighter relationship. Some fighters, fight no matter what. Even though they go to the corner, they're nodding their head yes to whatever the instructions that their trainers are giving them, and then they go out and do whatever they want. So I don't know if Spence is one of those guys, but judging from that Terrence Crawford fight, it seems like whenever Spence has his own game plan, he's very intent on making it work. It's kind of like his way or the highway when it comes to Errol Spence Jr. fights. And I understand that you kind of do have to have that resilience to say, like, I'm going to fight my fight, and I'm going to make him do what I want him to do, and I'm going to do what I want with him. So, I understand that with Errol Spence. It's just, this guy's big. This guy's big for sure. He's not Terrence Crawford. He doesn't have the bag that Terrence Crawford has, but now you're kind of dealing with a different beast where the size isn't in your favor anymore. So he's going to have to, invest to the body. If you're Errol Spence, keep dig into the body and allow that investment to pay dividends throughout the fight, and force Fondor to kind of hunch over, and then that's when you start attacking the head. If you're Errol Spence Jr. For Fondor, just continue to use your size, your reach advantage in your favor, and tire Errol Spence out. Try to make him gas out. At this point in his career, maybe his conditioning will fail him, but the only way to test that is if you continuously impose your will on Errol Spence Jr. If not, I expect Errol to kind of piece him up and pick him apart. It's not going to be easy though, because they're not the same size. If they were the same size, Spence really wins easily. But in my opinion, this could be a competitive fight because of the size difference. And Tim Tszyu's bigger than Spence, and Spence going straight to 54. I'm not sure. He's going to feel strong in there. There's no doubt about that. But I still don't think 7 pounds makes that much of a difference when it comes to Errol Spence had a really difficult time making 47, so I'm curious to see how much easier 54 will be for him. Hopefully he feels comfortable. I just don't think for a guy like Errol Spence Jr., and I've seen Spence up close and in person, and he's not a small guy, so it's not easy for him to make 54. He's a pretty strong looking dude. So and I've seen recent photos of him. He doesn't look like he's anywhere near 54. So I'm curious to see how he's going to look at 54 in his pro debut. Hopefully he doesn't feel depleted. I'm sure those 7 pounds are going to help to an extent. I just don't know how much, because Spence is a big 54 as well. He's not only a big 47, he's a strong 54 as well. So hopefully that plays a factor, because Fondor obviously being the way taller fighter, but he's pretty skinny. Like, let's not lie, he's a pretty skinny guy. So Spence continues to throw shots to the body as he's known to do, and he's not gonna have to deal with the footwork. Fondor is gonna be there. Fondor is gonna get rocked by Spence, in my opinion. I think he does get rocked a few times, but it's all about, can Spence maintain it? Can he avoid getting cut like Tim Tszyu? Does he learn in the back of his mind, if he does get cut, bring it to the scorecards, don't continue to fight. It's risky, because at the end of the day, a cut's a cut, and you can't let that stuff like that cost you the fight. So I'm excited to see Fondor and Spence, but at the same time, hearing about Spence's retirement's a little bit sad, because he's given us a lot of good fights at 47 in the last few years. So all the credit in the world to Errol Spence Jr. Some of my favorite fights were obviously like the Ugas fight, the Sean Porter fight, even though Sean Porter, in my opinion, I had that fight really close. I thought it could have really gone either way. It could have been a draw, but that knockdown probably, solidified it. But what a fight, the Ugas fight as well, the Danny Garcia fight, the Terrence Crawford fight was great, even though it didn't go in his favor. You really got to see firsthand that heart, that true warrior mindset and attitude that Errol Spence Jr. continuously getting rocked, touching the canvas and continuously getting up, fighting through it like a true warrior. There's nobody like Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a I would consider him a generational talent still, and I really do believe that. Just because you fight a guy like Terrence Crawford and you lose to him and you get stopped, but that you can't just discredit all the other wins just because you lost to that that pinnacle fighter, that optimal and elite fighter. A guy like Terrence Crawford, there's no shame in losing to a guy like Bud, because he's so good, he's so dynamic, he's a dangerous fighter as well, and you can tell that he has that killer instinct every time he's trying to hurt his opponent. So, Bud's a great fighter. There's no shame in losing to a guy like Terrence Crawford if you're Errol Spence Jr. But him hinting at retirement, obviously, let me know in the comments, do you guys think that, Terrence Crawford putting a beating on Errol Spence kind of made Errol Spence consider retirement? I definitely think so. I think what else could it be? Because I think if Errol Spence Jr. would have won that fight, there's no way that he would be talking about retirement, in my opinion. Maybe he would, but I still think that he'd continue to try to make other big fights happen and make a lot of money. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Errol Spence Jr. talking about retirement. What a great fighter, celebrating the career of Errol Spence Jr. We'll see what he does against Fondor, but it'll be a great fight for sure. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.